Well, greetings. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of Light Bulb Moments. This is episode number 118. We're only supposed to do 5 episodes, but we just keep going like the Energizer Bunny. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past Light Bulb Moment episodes and subscribe to that station and tune in. We've had some great sessions lately, and today, no doubt, will be another one. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Light Bulb Moments. I'm also CEO and founder of Qnity, as well as all the other Qnity enterprises I've got some role into. Remember, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale, as Zig Ziglar so appropriately said. At Qnity, we're here to help by making things simple, visual, and actionable, so you have a clear path towards greater prosperity for you, your team, your family, your stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. Remember to prosper manage your ATM, the 3 currencies we have in life, which is attention, time, and money. And it's not lost on us that you're spending your precious time with us today. Our last guest was actually a bunch of guests, and it actually was an announcement because we announced the 15 Impact Award winners that we will be celebrating starting on Sunday night in Austin, Texas, and continuing through Tuesday at the Phil in Austin, Texas. It was a great session. Check it out. You'll be able to learn who the Impact Award winners were, and more importantly, why they won. So it was a great session. We hope you tune in. Today, we're going to get right to it. I'm going to skip some of my other normal stuff at the beginning. We have a special guest today who is joining us. She has to exit stage left at 15 minutes after the hour. We nabbed her just in time because I wanted to have Melissa be part of this for reasons which I'll mention in a moment here. Melissa is the author of the book, Yes, You Can Talk About Mental Health at Work, and Here's Why. And Melissa has graciously agreed to join us at the Phil. She will be doing a main stage segment on Tuesday morning, followed up by a roundtable right after lunch Tuesday. So we're going to get sort of both a main stage presentation and then more of a conversation with Melissa. Good morning, Melissa. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you again. We've had the privilege to spend some time together, and I've
Yes.
totally enjoyed it. I met you in New York City. We had a segment sponsored by Bumble and Bumble on mental health. And I remember talking to you afterwards, but little did I know. I guess I'm not surprised that here we are connecting and you're going to be a member of our conference. So thanks for joining us today. Where are you today? Are you in Denver, Colorado, or where are you?
No, I am actually outside of Boston. So I'm doing a session today in Boston. And I think tonight I am flying to New York. I often wake up and I go, where am I? So I'm on the East Coast this week, but Denver's home.
Well, thanks for joining us. And I'll watch the clock here so we can hold to time. So I've already mentioned, I mentioned last week and again today that you'll be our guest. And so we've got to spend a little time together. And what I do is just broach a couple quick topics with you. And then I know certainly on Tuesday, we're going to get a lot more of your wisdom. But when we were spending a little bit of time planning yesterday, you used I'm going to get right to some of your zingers. Okay.
Me, zingers? You don't say.
And this is a very, very serious topic, and it's also something that has much more heightened awareness, which I think is a very good thing. I actually think May is Mental Health Month. Is that correct?
It is Mental Health Awareness Month, right?
Okay. So I don't really want to pretend to have great questions prepared for you, but what I do know is that you've got some really great experience, a lot of street credit about this. And I'm going to hit you with one right off the top here.
Hit me with the best shot.
So one of the things that you said is to know when it's time to take the cape off. What does that mean?
So I know that we have a whole bunch of folks on right now, and I hope I'm saying something that people can identify with, but there's a lot of people who are natural fixers, natural savior types, that when people come to them, the instant thought is, I need to help I need to take this off their shoulders. I need to fix it for them. And granted, it's helpful to support people, but when you are having that cape on, you're actually preventing them from not only having insight into what's going on, but also that personal accountability piece to try to take charge of their mental health. Now, people do not choose to have mental health struggles. They do not choose to experience a mental illness. They do choose what they're going to do about it, provided that they have access to resources and they can afford to use them. And so what I often see also in the workplace is that there are some people, and whether it's a colleague to colleague or a leader to a team member, that they have that cape on and they feel that they need to fix it for their team member or kind of bubble wrap them from feeling that discomfort. And so people do that for a whole host of reasons, if they want to feel wanted or needed or whatever. But in a leadership position, that's actually pretty detrimental to team members because they're also chronologically aged adults that need to learn how to not only get support from others, but how to take responsibility and manage some of that stuff that's going on. So it can be really difficult to take that cape off, especially if you are a saver fixer outside of work. But trust me when I say that by acting the part of superhero, you're actually doing people around you a disservice.
Mm. Chronologically aged adults. I'm going to use that one.
It is
And
different than mentally aged. Not the same. Not the same.
and I don't want to make light of any of this. But the term is really a great term. I think probably a lot of us can resonate with that term. I know that's not the key point you just made, but it just, those words kind of came out to me.
It is important because the number assigned to your age is not the same as your emotional age or your maturity. They are not synonymous. And so I think that's really important to point out. And oftentimes, again, especially when we look at leaders with team members, yes, they're people who report to you, and yes, you are their boss. But also remember, they are chronologically aged adults. And just because they're not in a position of leadership doesn't absolve them of those marked activities of what it means to take responsibility for yourself and your behavior as a chronically logically aged adult.
Mm. You also spoke briefly about the difference between mental health and mental illness. Would you
Yes.
expand on that?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. So I will never forget when I was living in London with my husband and I was doing a big keynote, in the before the pandemic, and we had to worry even more about germs. And I will never forget, someone came up to me after my keynote, we're talking about it, and they leaned in and whispered and they said, and I said, "Are you trying to say you have a mental illness?" And they go, "Yeah, that." So people use the terms really interchangeably. They're about the same organ, but they're totally different things. So mental health is something that we all have. You have a brain, you have mental health. Same goes for animals as well. It's basically your baseline social, emotional, and cognitive functioning. Now, contrary to popular belief and also the positive sounding nature of the term, mental health is not just the feel good stuff. It's your positive, neutral, and negative emotions. So there's a really wonderful film called Inside Out. I really hope that folks on here have seen it. There's also going to be a sequel, which I'm really excited about. We come pre-programmed with out of the box with a whole host of natural emotions to tell us how to feel, how to respond to stimuli in our environment. As we get older, the mood board expands. This is all based on real development. Now, if you look up The Feeling Wheel by Dr. Gloria Wilcox, Willcox, it shows dozens of emotions that we're pre-programmed with, half of which are not that positive, none of which are clinical. And so it's really important to understand that mental health itself is a spectrum, and it's not just the positive stuff. Now, when we think about mental illness, 1 in 4 people in their lifetime will experience some form of a mental illness or mental health condition. Now, since the pandemic happened, the data is not going in a great direction. I don't say that to be negative, I say it to be honest. Now, what that is a diagnosable behavioral health condition that impacts your thinking, emotions, behaviors, and social interactions. There are over 300 types of mental illness. The most popular ones that people know: major depressive disorder, anorexia, PTSD, any form of addiction, personality disorders. There's a really long list. What most folks don't know is that most mental illness is incredibly high functioning. So what I mean by that is that it's just part of someone's life. It doesn't determine their entire life. So they could be married, have kids, have a job, manage finances, travel, do all those hashtag adulting things. They also happen to have a mental health condition. So when people are in inpatient setting, or they can't work, or they have to go on disability because of mental health issues, that's actually the minority. That's not the most common ones that we're going to run into. But even though it's about the same organ, and it's just an organ, there is that health, stress, and illness state. And so stress can impact mental health. Stress can impact mental illness. But even though it's about the same organ, it's important that people use those definitions accurately.
Wow, this is a conversation that could go on for a very long time.
Yes.
And I've got a couple other things here. So there is, you talked about a leader's duty of care.
Mm.
What do you mean by a leader's duty of care?
So that's actually a term that I picked up on when I was living in the UK. And it's really important that we think about it from obviously the employer perspective and also the manager perspective. Now, the duty of care when it comes to the work environment or the managers, you want to create an environment where people are physiologically and psychologically safe to do their work, whether that's in person in a physical brick and mortar building or virtually. So what that basically means is that you want to make sure that the environment is set up for employees to not only be successful with their jobs, but to be healthy while doing so. That doesn't mean that you're setting up a nanny state. It doesn't mean you're their mom or their dad, but it makes sure that the environment is set up so they will ideally thrive. But there is a line between providing the environment, providing the tools, versus turning into someone's therapist or a doctor or consigliere or any of those sorts of things, because that's not your job. There is that basic duty of care. And also when it comes to being, a leader, it's not lost on me that there is that additional pressure that not only are you responsible for how your team performs, but also just to make sure that they're generally doing okay. And so I think it's important to have that distinction and just think about what's the type of environment that I'm trying to create where I have that duty of care to make sure people are physically and psychologically safe to come to work. But then where does that individual accountability kick in terms of how people take care of themselves?
Well, I've got other questions I can ask you, but we're going to wait. And
Teaser.
I'm going to let you go in just a second here. And I
Okay.
just want to kind of describe to the group here what sort of the final straw was to say, okay, we really need to bring this topic into the conference, and which is a good segue into one of our sponsors for your segment. So it was, I think, 3 weekends ago, Michelle was at a school conference and slides were being put up that, schools, the number one issue they're dealing with right now is the mental health of their students and instructors. So Pivot Point has graciously agreed to co-sponsor your segment. So shout out to Pivot Point. Kevin Cameron, who's a senior VP there of sales and education, will be the person that will be interviewing you during the roundtable, as well as Aaron Kuhn. Aaron's going to ask you some questions related to financial wellness and how that relates to mental health.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Anyway, we're super excited to have you. Let's everybody give Melissa a virtual round of applause. And I'm pleased to award you the $1 million light bulb for joining us as a member of our Brain Trust.
Oh, that's awesome.
As promised, I'm going to let you go at 15 after the hour. Okay.
I am deeply impressed, and I am so excited for next week in Austin. And I'm just really appreciative to come speak to your community. And I will see you all down there soon.
We look forward to seeing you very soon. Thanks again.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.
All right, I have a few other things here, and we're going to have an early wrap today. So again, we love hearing from you. Certainly, if there's topics you want to explore in Light Bulb Moments, if there's guests, if you want to be a guest, whatever, let us know. Again, we love hearing from you. Remember, really, what we are about more than anything else is providing financial wellness for pro beauty through our Money EDU course for students, our Money Pro for professionals, and Money SBO, which stands for small business owners and those that think like owners in a business. Last call, we might be sold out. I'm sometimes sometimes not aware of certain details. Forgive me, but someone can put in the chat if we have any tickets left. Again, the fill is coming up this coming weekend. Just a couple things. The Ventla is the app. So this is the fill at your fingertips. I'm sure Michelle will put in the chat. If you haven't already downloaded the app and signed up, definitely do it. There's an access code, which is Qnity 9. And what that will do is it'll give you the agenda. It'll allow you to sign up for the workshops, etc. Also, a reminder that Sunday night, Light Bulb Moments in the Fill is a Beauty Changes Lives fundraiser. We will be presenting 2 golden light bulbs. Presenting those golden light bulbs will be last year's recipients, the one and only Sam Bricata and the one and only Megan Jasper. So that's going to be happening. And we also have a silent auction that is open right now. We have some really cool auction items that will be things that will help you in your business and life. And our generous donors will allow those monies to go to Beauty Changes Lives. The theme at the conference, again, is zoom in, zoom out. I think you'll see that theme play out throughout. My light bulb moment last week was really about 13 weeks and that time frame. And you're going to be hearing more about the Qnity methodology, which is known for 8 seasons, which is between 6 and 7 weeks. Those increments, which work for a lot of different areas in a business. It's tried and true calendar system, but you're going to see that based upon research, data, practices, impact award winners, we're going to be leaning much more into the number 13 weeks. My light bulb moment this week is about some of the data we're doing. And we're pretty deep into our second year of the compensation study for the same group of businesses. These are small, independently owned salons and spas that have between 1 and 10 locations. We are coming up with some interesting findings here. We started asking some questions on this round that we didn't ask last time. And so we're going to be revealing some of these. We're going to be doing a snapshot of where we're at so far with the study data. And so we have a close of tonight to be part of this group of data submission. That doesn't mean that the study still remained open. I don't know exactly how long, but we're doing sort of a soft close tonight so that we can compile the data and present something at the fill with some of the early findings. So if you can get your data in by tonight, take the survey, submit your data by tonight, your data will be part of some of our findings and conclusions from the study. If you can't get it in by tonight, please please do it at your earliest convenient, because as I said, this isn't the final close of the study, it's a soft close so we can come up with meaningful findings. Some of the meaningful findings we've already seen come from some new questions, and this is, where do people go when they leave the industry? There's a surprise response to that one. And then also we have new insights on why people are leaving the industry. We also this time around have compensation data for front desk and all sorts of other good stuff. We're including spa services. So we've got some pricing related stuff. So this year's round of the study is leveled up from last year. I'm super excited to share with you in future episodes some of our discoveries, as well as some of the discoveries this weekend when we're together to get a snapshot. Secondly, we have another study going on, and this was at the request of members of the school industry, which was to really do a deep dive into instructors and instructors, specifically compensation, benefits, et cetera. So we sort of snuck in another study, like we needed another project leading up to the Phil, but we tend to be yes people around here at Qnity. And I will tell you that the survey, the study that we're pushing out to schools where they're submitting data about instructor pay, all of that kind of stuff, is also fascinating. And we also found, wow, I'm going to give you a little bit of a zinger statistic here, just to give you an idea. Some of the things we're learning is that we find that we asked the question, let me back up a little bit. Part of the reason that we're doing this instructor study is schools are really struggling with human capital also. Finding and keeping quality instructors is a big challenge, and it's a cry for help to get more information so they can better meet the needs of instructors, recruit and retain. But here's something that surprised me. 48%, we asked the question of school owners, why are your instructors leaving? 48% I'm sorry, we asked the question, we did ask that question, why they're leaving, but we also asked the question is, where do they go? 48% said that instructors are leaving the industry. So it's not that they're an instructor and they leave to go to, yes, a lot of them might go to a suite rental, they might go to employment-based salon, but almost half of them are leaving the industry. Wow. So anyway, more findings to come of this in future weeks. We'll probably have a little bit of data at the Phil regarding the instructor survey, but that's my light bulb moment of the week. Remember, data does matter. Again, you know, by submitting your data, you help change the narrative and help us better discover what the truth is in terms of human capital in salons and schools. It's a simple process, complete a survey, and then also you'll submit your data, and our report should be done later this summer. Again, the Beauty Changes Lives silent auction. One of the things that we're auctioning is 20 personal portrait sittings through the gracious generosity of world-class portrait photographer David Rakulia. As just this morning, I had people take 2 of the slots. I don't know how many slots we have left. We do have plenty left right now, but these are going to go fast because I approached someone about it this morning. She said, I'll take 2. And these monies will go to Beauty Changes Lives. Also, Janet Williams has graciously agreed to donate a consultative type process. So that's also on this auction app. Finally, I want to thank our sponsors for Light Bulb Moments, which is Lightheart Sanders, the CPAs, and then Ally Health. And a point of clarity here is that it's actually Benefits by Qnity offering Ally Health is also the sponsor of Light Bulb Moments. Remember to listen to Money 02. It's a podcast by Aaron. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We love hearing from you. And what we're going to do today, folks, is we're going to keep it short and sweet. I will take a second to read the chat and see who's with us today. But thanks for joining us. And I hope you were able to get some insights from Melissa. She's got a great book out. I shared it with you. Again, it's called Yes, You Can Talk About Mental Health at Work, and Here's Why. So again, thanks for joining us today. Much appreciate all of you. Thank you for being part of our community. And we're going to see many of you this weekend at the Phil. For those of you we don't see, we'll be back with you next week, and we very much look forward to that. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll be seeing and hearing from you very soon. Bye.